Hi Homeworthy, my name's Ashley and welcome to my 480 square foot DC studio. I'm so excited to show you around. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name's Ashley. I'm a historian and welcome to my 480 square foot studio in DC. So I've lived here for almost 2 years and it is rent controlled and it's an older building. So I knew that it had great bones, it had great light, and I really liked the space in general. And it had the potential to be more. And so that's what I was really looking for. I was looking for something that was affordable, but also functional. And it was originally just one big room, a studio. And I knew that I could make it more and I could do a lot with it. I didn't really renovate anything. Everything is still renter friendly, but I knew that I could do a lot doing renter friendly projects throughout the apartment. I wouldn't say that I have one particular decorating style. Mainly, I just love color and I love pattern and I love texture. And so I love combining all of that together. And I just kind of started with the giant pink bookshelf. I knew that that was really the statement piece that I wanted, and I wanted to create a built-in feel that would also give me the feeling of having multiple rooms so that my bedroom wasn't in the middle of my living room. And so I started there, and then once I constructed it and I painted it pink, it really just kind of brought it together and inspired me to really lean into the color and kind of that really maximalist, fun vibe throughout the apartment. I have a lot of DIY hacks in the apartment. Almost everything is kind of a hack and something that I did, because the problem, or I guess I should say the challenge of a small space, is that it is hard to source appropriately sized and functional furniture for. So I definitely have done a lot of IKEA hacking or just kind of furniture hacking in general. I have a closet system in my bedroom that gives me an incredible amount of storage. I have my coffee table that was actually a console table that I cut down to coffee table size because I couldn't find a coffee table that was narrow enough for my space. I do a lot of painting of furniture, of refinishing, adding cool hardware. My bar cart is a really fun IKEA hack that I did using pool noodles to give it a kind of scalloped texture. And so when you're approaching a small space, I hate the myths that you can't use color, you can't use a lot of texture or patterns, that you have to keep it simple. I don't think that's true at all. But I think what you do have to do is keep it really, really functional so that your space doesn't feel overwhelming and like all of your furniture and your items are closing in on you. Welcome to my living room. Obviously, the centerpiece of the room is my incredible pink bookshelf. This is an IKEA hack that I built myself, so I'm very proud of it. And I love the color. I think it sets the tone for the entire room. It's an incredible focal point, which is not the TV, which I really like. And it lets me display my favorite memories, all of my books that I need to reference for work, which is important, functionality. And it also provides additional storage, which again is so important in a small space. But I also love to display travel memories, and I do have pictures of myself on display on my bookshelf in my favorite destinations and travel memories. Somewhat controversial on the internet to have photos of yourself, but I feel like, you know, if I was in a couple, nobody would have a problem with me hanging pictures of myself and my partner, so why not? If you solo travel, ladies, put a picture of yourself up. I also keep mementos from my travels. I travel a lot in Italy because that is where I do my research, and so I love to bring little mementos home and memories of my time there. And one of my favorite little things, I study the history of pharmacy in particular, and this is an antique pharmacy bottle from Italy. So I love just having this little piece of history in my space. So you may have noticed that I love chinoiserie, and it's one of the things that I use throughout the apartment to kind of bring all the spaces together and tie everything together. And again, this is just my love of history and art, and I think chinoiserie is absolutely beautiful. And my aunt actually goes to estate sales all throughout Florida and collects these for me. So I love displaying them around the apartment as vases, as storage items. I have them everywhere, anywhere I can put them basically. And I store lots of little bobs in them. This one actually hides all the extra IKEA pieces that you never know what to do with, so form and function. My living room is also where I work and where I dine. It was really, really important in this space for me to have a place to eat and not eat on my sofa. I think that brings, it sounds simple, but in a studio space, that's really, really important to have like a space to do different things so you don't feel like you're always doing everything from your sofa. And it feels very civilized to have a table to eat your meals at. And then I also, of course, work in this space as well. I do have a standing desk that I love, and my favorite thing, which you can't see because it's discreetly stored, is my walking pad. So I love having a place to also work and walk in the apartment. And then finally, I love in my living room is my bar cart, because this was a DIY that I created myself. And one of my favorite things about DIY is kind of figuring out how to recreate something with unexpected items. So the handle is actually a soap dish, and what gives the scalloped effect on the bar cart are actually pool noodles. So I love the problem solving of DIY and coming up with creative solutions for small space challenges. Also, it gives a lot of great cupboard storage. Inside of my DIY bar cart, the reality of a small space is that furniture often does double duty. So only one half is dedicated to glassware and the other half is storing lots of things that I need it to that I won't show you because it's a little bit messy. But I do have some beautiful glassware that I love to store in here. And then I also have a candle obsession. So those are stored down there. I did not set out to have a green and pink apartment, which is why I started adding pops of other color. But as I started designing the space, I fell in love with this wallpaper. I think it is just absolutely stunning, and it's peel and stick, so it's renter friendly. It was incredibly easy to put up, and it was just beautiful. I love the little nod to cherry blossoms being in DC, but not kind of being in that obvious DC way. And then I found the matching drapes, and I think they are just absolutely stunning and kind of bring the room together. And I loved the pink and green together. I thought it was such a beautiful combination, and there's just kind of a hint of pink undertones in the wallpaper. And I wanted to bring that out through the room. So I love high-low. Not everything needs to be expensive and not everything needs to be cheap in your space, but sometimes affordable furniture has its place, and especially in small spaces, it's hard to find a good sofa that will fit the space and be attractive. And so this is actually a very affordable sofa from Amazon, and I replaced the legs to bring it up a little so it didn't look quite so inexpensive, and it elevated it a little bit. And then I added some beautiful velvet pillows, because velvet always elevates things, and some throws to just make it look not so Amazon. So I love a little bit of whimsy. I don't like to take myself or my space too seriously, and I found this disco croissant and I just absolutely love it. And when the light hits it, you get this wonderful like disco effect around the room. So have fun with your decor. And my disco croissant sits on top of my DIY coffee table. So this is actually a console table that I cut down to coffee table height. It's almost impossible to find a very narrow coffee table, but I knew I wanted one for this space for comfort and for functionality. And so all I did is I found this burled wood console table from Target, and I just cut it down with my handy dandy handsaw in my apartment. On the other side of my living room, I have my media console that I also DIY'd. This is a very simple IKEA Besta unit that I painted and added some new hardware to, the legs and the knobs. And then with kind of masking my TV, because TVs aren't cute, but they're a reality of life, I created a gallery wall around it to kind of distract. And again, I just love the mixing of textures and different styles of frames. And I have peppered through here some of my artwork, some historically inspired artwork, and some more images from my travels. So this mirror is my true love in life. I wanted an extra large mirror for the longest time, and I saved up for this one. It was definitely a splurge, but I think it adds so much light and space to a small space. Obviously, an oversized mirror is going to do that. And by putting it in the corner here, I love that from any angle in the apartment, you can see more of the apartment, which really gives that illusion of space. And then it bounces light off of my only source of light along this one wall into the rest of the apartment. So it was definitely an investment, but worth every penny. I love it so much. I think a home really comes alive when it feels like you, and it feels like a place that you want to be in. And so I think it just really needs to reflect you and what makes you happy, while also being functional. I'm really, really big on a space being equally beautiful as it is functional, because you do have to really live in it, and a home should be lived in and functional for you and your life. I don't know if I would consider myself a maximalist. I think other people definitely would. I'm not shy of a lot of items and a lot of color. I don't know that I necessarily kind of subscribe to these categories and labels of design. I think you can mix and match and you can do what you like. So I think in many ways I'm a maximalist, and then in many ways I take inspiration from lots of other different design genres and periods. I actually love living in a small studio. It feels so cozy. I love being in my apartment. One of my biggest fears moving to DC, I'm from Florida originally, where space is not a premium. You get a really big apartment in Florida. And I was really afraid that it would feel like it was closing in on me and I wouldn't enjoy being at home, because I am a homebody. And I actually think I love it more because it feels so cozy. And by putting the time and effort into making the space really functional and comfortable for me, and honestly, it brings me such joy to just look around the apartment and know that everything is a reflection of me and what I love. It's the perfect space to be in, and I love being in it. And so, yeah, I feel like a lot of renters feel like they can't or shouldn't invest in their apartment, but I think the reality for a lot of people, especially in cities, is that they have to live in an apartment. And it can be your space, and it can become a home, and it's a really great feeling. So this is my bedroom. You're probably wondering where I store all of my clothing, shoes, and accessories, and this is it. On display for everyone to see, like the beautiful works of art that they are. I know for many people, open shelving like this seems like a dusting nightmare, but for me, I love being able to see my clothing. If I can't see it, I don't remember that I have it, and I love getting dressed and kind of in my own open air boutique where I can pull all of my clothes, shoes, and accessories for the day. And so looking at it makes me happy. It does require slightly more dusting, but I think it's totally worth the effort. I also have here one of my DIYs that I did that I'm pretty proud of, because I have a headband addiction. It is my love of form and function. I love having something beautiful, but also functions to keep the hair out of my face when I'm working. And so I wear a lot of headbands, and I wanted a system to be able to store my headbands efficiently and beautifully. And so I actually created these out of IKEA spice racks. I changed the hardware to hang them upside down so that it could display and easily hang all of my headbands. So I'm pretty proud of this one. It was a very simple and easy DIY, but really works well. I wouldn't say that I have a favorite headband. I would say I like a statement headband, but I do love when they're jeweled and encrusted or just dramatic in general. They remind me, so this is another callback to kind of my love of history. They remind me of early modern hats and hoods that women would wear, specifically the 16th century French hood. And it's just a beautiful style that I love. So I'd have to say I think my favorite one is this one, because this probably most closely resembles a 16th century French hood, but I do love wearing these. It's a little callback to the past and the history of fashion. And you might notice that many of my shoes look the same. And I would say, once again, it's my love of form and function. These are my favorite shoes. They're from Cezanne, but a couple French companies make shoes like this. And I just love that they're slingback because I don't get blisters, but they also have a little bit of heel for height, and they come in lots of colors. And I'm a big fan of patent leather because it scuffs less, and you have to walk a lot in the city, so you need shoes that are both beautiful and functional. Another thing I'd love to point out about the closet system is that this is great for renters because it is a tension rod system. It is also modular, so all of the pieces come apart and can work in any space, and you can arrange it in any way that you want. And so this has come through 3 apartments with me, and it's been in a dozen different styles and arrangements. And so I knew when I moved into this space that I had these components and I could do creative things with them. So on this wall, I went with more of a dresser setup with storage on top. And then on the opposite wall over here that flanks my bed, I decided to do a little bit more hanging storage and some more accessory storage on top. And this gives me a ton of clothing storage, and so I don't have to worry about my shopping habit. So on this side, I have more shoes and purses. You can never have too many purses. I also have my perfume, my daily perfume, so that it's easy to access and spritz on the go. I have one of my all-time favorite Kate Spade novelty bags, some more artwork that I created, And again, just some more storage. I think in a small space, it's really, really important to have both open and closed storage. Open storage is wonderful, but it is open and therefore always on display, and you have to keep it tidy. So you also need a fair amount of closed storage. Another thing that I did to really give myself a lot more storage in this space was I lofted my bed. And you're probably thinking a lofted bed is for college students, but anyone can benefit from a lofted bed. I only had to raise it up about 5 inches, and then I was able to hide that with a skirt. And I was able to slide a bunch of rolling boxes underneath to, again, give me more storage, which is especially good for seasonal clothing or things that I don't access a lot that I really need to have storage for, but I don't really need to pull it out every day. So my bed is one of my favorite spaces in my apartment. One, because I spend a lot of time making it very comfy and cozy because sleep is very important. But two, it's a really great space to have fun with texture, pattern, and color, which is what I love. My secret is that I have a white duvet, and then I love to switch out the pillows and accessories on top of it. And Rifle Paper Co. is one of my favorite companies. They're from my hometown. They're a woman-owned business, and they do a lot of beautiful illustrations, and their book illustrations are my favorite. So both this blanket and this pillow are Rifle Paper Co. And it's just kind of these whimsical little touches that bring me a lot of joy in my space. And then I love playing with texture and pattern to kind of show off these different little details in the space. And you can never have too many pillows on your bed. I know that some people will not agree with that, but I think it's a great way to have fun with texture and pattern and color. And you will never find me without at least 6 pillows on my bed. From here, we have my beautiful hat wall. As much as I love a headband, I also love a hat. And again, form and function, I needed something where I could see what I have, and I could also store them out of the way where they wouldn't get bent or messed up. And I think they're beautiful, so why not display them? And it's really easy for me to grab a hat and go. And so I do love this little hat wall. I know in the design world, a hat wall can be a little controversial, but again, do what works for you and what you love in your space. My favorite hat is definitely this hat. So there's a funny story behind this hat. It probably looks familiar. Gucci makes a gold papier hat like this that I loved for years. I had it. I think I wore it for 6 years. I wore it into the ground. And I was devastated when they released the new model of it. It wasn't the same. They had changed it and it wasn't as good. And I was in this tiny town in the seaside in Italy, and there was a woman there who handmade hats, and I saw this hat hanging across the room, and I asked her about it. And she said she's been making it for years. And I asked her, will she continue to make it? And she promised she would keep making it. So every few years I go to this little town in Italy and I buy one of these hats, and I wear it all summer long because it's very important to protect yourself from the sun but still look stylish. So next to my hat wall in my bed, we've got my bedside table, and this is another IKEA hack. This is the basic side table from IKEA that I painted, and I added cute little lucite knobs to in the shape of a bow. And I've got the practical stuff like my charging station. I've got a few decorative books and a little holder here. And I also have this lamp, which I really love. I get a lot of questions about this lamp. And again, high-low, I think is really important to think about, because a ceramic lamp is a ceramic lamp. You can get them on clearance somewhere at a flea market. But a lampshade, if it's cheap, looks cheap. So I will often spend all of my budget on the lampshade and then thrift something for the base. And so the base of this is just a thrifted ceramic base that I spray painted pink. And then this lampshade is from House of Hackney, which is an incredible wallpaper and fabric company in the UK that I absolutely love. So in this room, I went with a faux grass cloth peel and stick wallpaper in a nice light shade of pink because I thought it would complement the bookshelf well, which is kind of functioning as the other wall in this room. And again, it's peel and stick, so it's renter friendly. And I just love the little bit of texture that it gives. I wanted a little bit more of a serene space in the bedroom because obviously this is where you come to relax and sleep. So I wasn't going to go with a really big, bold, all over pattern, but I thought the texture of the grass cloth had a really nice touch to it. And then I hung this piece of art that I actually created. It's just kind of like a chinoiserie illustration that is based on a historical chinoiserie print. So on this side of the bedroom, I have the rest of my Elvarly closet system from IKEA. And as I mentioned before, it has all sorts of different combinations that you can do, which is why I really, really like this system. And I went with kind of maximum storage on this side. So this is the real basis of my closet over here. But I also added some more hidden storage, and I can hang skirts, blazers, dresses, jackets, and shirts, everything over here, no problem. And I'm still able to access it. It's not the most spacious area, but I was able to squeeze it all into the apartment. So I was really happy that I was able to get this in, because this is able to hold the bulk of my wardrobe where I can see it, where I can access it. So I am a big believer that your rugs need to be bigger than you think they need to be. Even in a small space, your rugs need to cover the entirety of your room, and the whole rule that your furniture is supposed to be on all the legs of your furniture is supposed to be on your rug. I do live and die by that rule. And it has helped me when working in small spaces to make them feel more balanced and bigger. And also, don't be afraid to cut your rugs, especially if you're in a small, weird space. I actually had to cut this rug, don't tell rifle, but I did have to cut it here along the edge of the bookcase in order to get it to fit. Honestly, it works great for the space, and don't be afraid to cut your rugs. So this was kind of an awkward space in the apartment where the bedroom really ended before the living room began. I had my gallery wall, and I wasn't really sure what to do here. I wanted to be careful not to overfill the space, and so I found this stool at Home Goods on clearance, and I kind of just loved the texture and the color. And then I already owned this chinoiserie ginger jar, and so I thought this would be a great way to kind of break up the space. And just the idea is to kind of visually hide the side of this and to transition into the living room space. So I am a historian of early modern Europe, and my area of focus is specifically Italy and the history of science and medicine. And I look at specifically how women collected, produced, and reproduced medical knowledge through early modern recipes. So I look at a lot of really fun and interesting documents written and passed down by women for generations. I take inspiration from everything that I see and come across, but I take a lot of inspiration from just being a historian and looking at historical spaces and places and artwork. And so I love pops of color, I love texture, I love architectural details, and so I try to take those inspirations everywhere I find them, whether it's in the archive or at a museum, into my home. But I try to reinterpret that in kind of a fun, colorful, playful way. So from my bedroom, we have my entryway, which then leads into the bathroom. And the entryway, I really wanted to do something fun with to, again, I think it's really important to separate and delineate spaces in such a small space when you have no rooms, to create the feeling of rooms. And so I wanted to create the feeling that this was a separate space. And so I decided to do some painting in here, and I created this really fun scallop. I actually made this scallop with a bowl from the kitchen that I just traced along the wall using a level, and traced the top half of it and then painted from the top down. And I really love the way that it turned out. Again, I think it just adds a little bit of fun and whimsy to the space and gives it a distinct feeling. And to match the color, I painted my IKEA shoe storage the same color. You're probably wondering, she has more shoes than what we saw on the shelves, and yes, I do. But this is closed storage because these are the less attractive shoes. So they hide in here. And it's also a place where I can dump my keys and my sunglasses when I get home. And also, of course, I have hooks, because one of the biggest hacks in small spaces is hooks. You always need hooks. I added another cute rug into this space for functionality, you know, to just make sure your feet are clean when you enter. And then I did actually add a light up in this space, and this is really interesting. I really just zip tied this to the existing boob light that came in the apartment, and it works great. So, and then from here you lead into a walk-through, pass-through closet, which is really kind of a workhorse of the apartment and does a lot of serious storage for me. I have my hamper, I have my vacuum cleaner, I have my winter coats in the winter, and I've got cleaning supplies, a year's supply of toilet paper and paper towels, you know, just because we're all scarred from when that happened in the pandemic, and all of my bags. And then that leads straight into my little tiny bathroom. And I really wanted to have fun, or as much fun as I could with this space. It is an old building, so some of the challenges in this bathroom was that there is no vent. And so I really wanted to do wallpaper, but wallpaper in a bathroom with no vent is a disaster waiting to happen. So I decided to have some fun instead, and I found these thrifted, really cheap, I think they're plastic ornate frames that I took samples of wallpaper and I color matched the best I could with some acrylic paint. And I just painted them to create these kind of fun pops of color on the wall since I'm not able to add a really fun wallpaper. I actually did retile the floor with peel and stick tile. That is not meant for the floor. The packaging was very clear about that, but I figured I was going to try it, and it's actually working really, really well. So I added a layer of painter's tape and then did the peel and stick tile, and then I did caulk everything, recaulk it myself, and added this cute rug on top. Another thing that I did is I had the tile in here is old. It's seen a lot, it's vintage, and it had that kind of built-in, tiled-in soap dish and toothbrush holder that were pretty unattractive. And so I actually found this floating shelf at my local hardware store, and I was able to carve it out and create a hollow in the back, and I just attached it right to the old soap dish, which kind of now acts as the brackets for this shelf. And this is so much more functional for me than the old soap dish and toothbrush holder. I also just attached a new mirror on top of the old mirror, and I spray painted the light fixture gold. And I actually found these floral acrylic discs, and I cut holes in them to kind of act as a little light feature in the space. My favorite part about the bathroom is this really fun, beautiful shower curtain that I found. I think it just adds a lot of color and texture and interest into this small space that I really wasn't able to do a lot with. So at this point, we're in the front of my apartment where you have the entryway, my closet, and bathroom, and then around the corner, you just saw my bedroom. But if you follow me, I'll actually take you to where the kitchen is. So once you walk through my living room, at the other end of the apartment is my kitchen. And I had to make the decision if I wanted the bedroom by the front door or by the kitchen. And I hope you agree that I think the front door was the better option. I don't want my bed to smell like what I'm cooking in the kitchen. So I thought that this layout worked better. And I like that the kitchen is not an open concept in this studio. It is kind of walled off in the back of the apartment. And it's a surprisingly good kitchen for this space. But of course, what I didn't like about it was incredibly beige. Countertops are not what I would have picked. The color of the wood is not what I would have picked. So without doing any kind of crazy vinyl coverings of the countertops, because I really don't think that that's super practical and functional, I wanted to see if I could kind of change the tone and color of the kitchen through just adding other colors. And so I added this really fun peel and stick backsplash to this side of the kitchen, and then to this side of the kitchen is where I really had a lot of fun. I added this fun citrus wallpaper, this beadboard and chair rail, and this pop of green, and some floating shelves, again, to display some more beautiful items, and then this cart to add some more functionality. Obviously, there's always an issue of storing pots and pans in small little apartments, and so this was kind of my solution for that. So the floor was one of my favorite solutions because, again, I worried about doing peel and stick tile on a kitchen floor. It just gets so much traction. Food, water, everything falls on it, and I really think you need to be able to clean it well. And so I actually found this company that does these vinyl floor, basically carpets or mats that they call them, and they are perfect. And they just had one that happened to be perfect for this space. And so there's no peel and stick, it just lays flat on your existing tile, and I think it gives a great look. It looks like tile, but it's super, super functional and easy to clean, and it covers up the old, not so cute tile perfectly. Another thing that I did to add a little bit more personality and just fun into this space was I have been able to find pastel kitchen appliances, which is not as hard as you might think it is. So I love adding these little touches. And then I did find this pottery, again, kind of a callback to my love of Italy. This one says mangiamo, let's eat. This one says ciao bella, and this one says mangiamo again, which is just super fun and cute. For me, home is my sanctuary. Home is where I go to recharge from the world, where I can be myself and be comfortable. So I know for many people, home is hosting and bringing people into your space, but I think for a lot of people, home is that really personal space where you need to go to recharge and to just get ready for whatever's coming next in life. And so for me, that's really, really important to just have this space to come home to be a homebody, to watch my favorite movies, to work from home when I need to and it's comfortable, to have, you know, my travel memories on display, to have artwork on display, to have my books nearby. All of that just is it's my safe place, it's my happy place, it's my home. Thanks, Homeworthy, for stopping by. This was so much fun to show you around my 480 square foot studio apartment, but it's time for you to go because I have another DIY project waiting. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.